Quick disclaimer, this video was not made with educational purposes, all the information used was hand-picked for the sake of comedy. Also, spoilers of the first season of Beastars. Oh, didn't see you there. I was too focused on my reading. Oh, this? It's nothing. Just a liberal culture, you know, everyday stuff. What, you really want to know? Well, you insist. I was just reading about how much you want to f*** your ma- Sigmund Freud was an Austrian neurologist born in 1956. He was the eldest son of Nobody Cares. What we care about is not who he was, but what he did. Damage. A lot of damage. And while we all know how important cultural context is to understand someone's work, we aren't gonna get that deep into it. So, what was Freud's work? Freud came up with a theory. A quite bold one. He postulated that our sexual life doesn't start with puberty, but the moment we are born. This is to say, instead of thinking that sexuality is something that we develop, he thinks we develop through sexuality. To justify this, he created a whole new way to understand one's psyche, divided into three parts: the ego, the superego, and the id. First we have the ego, which is our personality itself. Then we have the superego, which is the part formed by the culture, the sectarian psyche that's in charge of the norms. And then we have the superego's counterpart, the id, is what he also called the unconscious, and it's always fighting the superego to release itself into the wild. To Freud, the constant clash between the id and the superego is the cause of one's discomfort, and he explains this as a whole instinct versus culture thing in his book Civilization and its Discontent. But enough of the boring stuff. What does this actually mean when we bring it to everyday life? A little baby boy is born and he takes pleasure in sucking milk from his mom. After that, because he realized how much pleasure he gets from her, he now wants to mess up his mother real bad. I'm talking about sex. And that's what we call Oedipus complex, which is quite an unfortunately ironic name, taking into account how Oedipus took his eyes out when he found out he got done it with his mother. Now, little baby boy wants to do dirty things with mommy, but he's scared because there's daddy, and daddy will chop his dick off if he dares lay a finger on daddy's property. Now the kid's afraid, and that's what we call the castration complex. Now, you can very well agree or disagree with his theory, but personally, from the moment I started studying this guy's theory more than 4 years ago, something clicked in me. I looked at the basics of his theory, I looked at everything he was saying, I thought, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? I mean, what's all this stuff about wanting to fuck your mother? Aren't you just projecting all your messed up thoughts onto all of humanity? This guy was so fucking sure of all the messed up stuff he was saying that he deadass went and said his work was humanity's third narcissistic wound. No, let me explain this. Freud said that there were 2 occasions prior to this one where humanity completely rejected an idea that turned out to be true. First was Copernicus, who said the Earth wasn't the center of the universe, rather just another planet going around the sun. After that was Darwin, who said we come from the monkey, so we are just as animal as every other animal we believed were inferior to us. Even the scientific community was furious. So Freud deadass went and said, you want to fuck your mother. It just hurts so much to admit it that you want to fuck you, Freud. Alright, to be fair, he was actually referring more to the id theory, because the thought of humans having instinct was unacceptable at the time, and he did turn out to be right. Freud actually did a lot of good things for the psychological community. He was the first one to propose therapy, as we know it, a professional that listens to someone who needs help. He also proposed unconscious, and that was a huge improvement for its time, even though its definition has changed since. So, not everything Freud did was bad, it's just that I can't buy his theory at all. Are we really that sexually driven? Isn't our brain far too complex for us to leap to that conclusion? But, well, today talking about his theories is kinda hard. I'm sure everyone who built on it modified it enough to be good. After all, psychoanalysis is to this day one of the big 4 psychological perspectives. It can't possibly be that bad. And with no relation to the topic whatsoever, here is the definition of foreshadowing. Throughout the years, psychoanalysis has remained pretty similar. Obviously, it depends. There are certain currents of thought that don't actually have anything to do with Freud by now, but there are a lot that do. A little bit after Freud came Melanie Klein, who's still considered one of the founders of psychoanalysis, and is still studied to this day, to understand infant development. And Hannah Segal was a psychoanalyst who came quite a bit after her, who studied Klein, and even wrote an introduction to Klein's theory. Now, in this introduction to her work, Segal gave us an example. There was this 5-year-old girl, who at the end of the session dropped glue making a mess, so Segal interpreted this mistake as the girl not wanting to leave. She wanted to be glued to a session. So far, nothing unbelievable. But this is what she explains next, and it is kind of a direct quote. With great satisfaction she said to me, "But it is also puke, there on your floor." I interpreted that not only as she wanted to be glued to the room, but also to the interior of my body, where new babies grow, and making a mess in my interior with the puke. The next day she brought a big red geranium, and pointing to the stem she said to me, "See, all these babies come out from the stem, this is a gift to you." I interpreted that she wanted to give me the penis, and all the babies that come out of it, to compensate for the mess she felt she had done with my babies at the interior of my body the day before. What the fuck, Segal, are you alright? She just gave you a flower. Yes, she might have said something about Davis, but she's fine. Do you really think all this thought went through her head and not yours? She just wanted to give you a gift, for fuck's sake. But then, not happy with this, Segal proceeds talking about how the little girl wanted to destroy her babies and her ex. Her fucking ex. But it seems the psychoanalyst didn't think Segal's explanation was weird enough. So if you keep reading their literature, you will find all sorts of other things. So then, these other psychoanalysts start talking about how phobia to elevators can be caused by the kids' fear of having an erection. This other guy literally said in his talk, "We take food to friends' houses so the host won't eat us," to explain why babies are afraid of being eaten by their own mothers. And then this other guy said 2-year-old babies start developing this homicidal instinct against their own father, and the father knows it and he's fucking afraid of it. It seems no, our own kids can murder us. And that, kids, is what psychoanalysis looks like. Yeah, obviously not everything is like this. I've read probably more than 1,000 pages from different authors about this topic, and I just grabbed the bits I remembered more for how weird and upsetting they were. A lot of things psychoanalysts say make sense. That said, psychoanalysts say more than just other things. Even then, to this day, it's actually one of the most efficient perspectives for children therapy. That doesn't seem right. How? I really like this car. That car symbolizes your father's penis. Well, Beastars. Beastars is a thing, that's for sure. Beastars is an anime adaptation of the manga with the same name, which is an adaptation of Zootopia, which is an adaptation of DeviantArt, starring that lizard guy from Dorohedoro, that fucking bird that became a meme, that weirdly sexy furry drawing you don't want to admit you like, and probably that Sonic OCG drawn fifth grade thinking it was cool and know it haunts you in nightmares. This show will get you the chills and thrills in more ways than you would like to admit, and will make you question your sexuality every fucking time they get the chance. I swear, ma'am, I watched this for the plot, I'm not a furry. Oh yeah, it also has a plot, a mystery, guess, something about a murder, I don't know, just read the fucking manga. No, let's go back to the furries. Beastars is weird, and watching the first season with a close friend of mine was a whole experience that I won't recommend, and neither will talk about how our friendship changed after it. Why is it so uncomfortable? Well, to answer that hard question, I think it's because it shows us things we don't want to think about. Just like Freud's theory. Thinking about it is uncomfortable. You see, I think Beastar is, at its core, a love letter to Freud. A big psychoanalysis society that makes too much sense for its own good. Or maybe my own good. I'll explain why in a second. The fundamental and recurrent theme of Beastars is the constant, endless fight between people and their instincts. I do not think I even need to make an effort to relate this to Freud's theory. It's quite clearly written in the book I mentioned earlier. This is the clash Freud was obsessed with in his book, Civilization and its Content. Beastar is clearly based on this idea. In the anime, there's a civilization divided into carnivorous and herbivorous animals, all fighting their instincts, trying to hide them from each other. There was this non-written rule in the series that was mentioned a couple of times that carnivores should not show their teeth to herbivores. Basically, they had to hide all the parts of them that would make it hard to live in society. Wow, I totally made this thing as a joke, but it kinda makes more sense than I thought it would. So this is exactly what Freud says about our society. We have to hide our instincts. It's not that we don't fuck our mothers because we don't want to, but because we can't if we want to live in society. There is this moment where Legoshi lets out his anger and fights someone. Afterwards, he talks about it with a friend and explains that was the first time he let it out. When his friends asked if he disliked it, Legoshi answered, "I dislike that I didn't dislike it." That's the essence of the whole instinct versus society fight according to Freud. The feeling of wanting to let something out because it will feel good, but having another part of you disliking it because that's what culture has taught us. And that's it, that's how Beastars works. It almost makes me believe Freud was right. How silly. Unless... No, it can be. There's something, maybe. I'm not saying right now. Alright, hear me out. Alright, just hear me out. While the clash between instincts and society is more than clear, there is another thing that's not. And that's... war. Wait, don't click away yet. You see? Remember when I talked earlier about how babies are afraid of being eaten by their mothers? You see, babies see something a lot bigger than they are and they can't help but be afraid of being eaten. See, when they are breastfeeding, they are eating their mother and enjoying it, so they are afraid of it partly because they fear their mom will do the same. You see where I'm going, right? Right? Near the end of the first season, Legoshi and Haru engage in intimate acts, and when they were closing in, they were interrupted by Haru trying to get inside Legoshi's mouth. She was trying to get eaten by him. No, this from a normal point of view would make you think, what the fuck? But no, this is deeper, so much more beautiful. There's something intricately lovely about it. Let me illuminate you. Haru, as any other kid, had a mother, yes, a very lovely bunny mother, and when she was a baby she would have feared being eaten by his mother. Ha, the beauty of motherhood. She knew how much pleasure she got from eating her, and was afraid. Her mother, being bigger and stronger, may do the same to obtain this irresistible pleasure of hers, but at the same time she also feels protected by her, precisely because of how big and strong she is. And then years later, Haru meets Legoshi, a carnivore, bigger and stronger than her. First time she meets him, he tried to eat her. Talk about skipping steps, eh? Then he meets Haru for a second time and starts repressing his instincts and talking to her, and sooner than later he starts protecting her. They develop this strange relationship where Haru meets her new protector and predator. So when they're finally going into the pact that consists of trying to give pleasure to the other, Haru, in an act of intricate love, remembering the pleasure she herself got as a baby, offered herself to be eaten, for she knew that was what Legoshi truly wanted, that was the desire he had, and the desire society had denied him. The act of being eaten is nothing more than Haru unconsciously wanted to give Legoshi his most deep and obscure desire, the one everyone else would deny him, the ultimate pleasure she would have denied to even her own mother. Don't you see? This is what love should be about, this is what life should be about. I get it now, I see it all. All this time Freud was telling us the truth, I was too blind to see it, but now... Hi, well, that was a weird video. I may or may not have been under the influence of substance while writing this one. At least under enough influence to sit on a cat for the whole video. Props to you if you noticed. As always, thanks to Luz for helping me with the script of this video, to Sate for the drawings, and to you for making it to the end of this one. Really, thanks. That must have been hard. Well, bye!